Bengu, the acting CEO of the South African Social Services Agency, I suppose we know it better as SASSA, has reassured social grant beneficiaries that they will receive their money without disruption on the 1st of April. Earlier this week, SASSA appeared in the Constitutional Court after they applied for an extension of their contract with Cash Paymaster Services, who is responsible for cash payments to over 2 million beneficiaries in mostly rural areas. Yesterday at a press briefing, Bengu said that most of these 2 million beneficiaries are the elderly and people living with disabilities, and that SASSA does not have a system to do cash payouts and still needs their support. So their contract with CPS ends the 31st of May. Joining us is acting CEO of SASSA, Bengu. Good to see you, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us here on the program.
Good morning, Leon, and good morning to your viewers.
Have I got the date correct? Is it the 31st of May that the contract ends with Cash Paymaster?
31st of March.
I thought so. That's why I was a little bit confused there. I've got May written here, but
no,
it is March. I mean,
March.
It's the end of this month. The first is, that's it. It's over.
It's over.
But the extension is what I think many are hoping for. But talk to us about what this means now, what the Constitutional Court has done, reserving judgment.
Okay. The Constitutional Court has reserved judgment, but we are hoping that by next week we will hear what they are saying. What we have done as SASSA, we have made plans that all the beneficiaries will have their money in their cards. But what I was stressing and what I said yesterday as well is that at the cash pay points, should the court say no to our request, that's where we will have most of the problems, because the people that are collecting their money using biometric are the ones that are elderly and the ones that are disabled. And then the problem would be then, how then do you get those people to take them to merchants where we usually get the money and ATMs where they can actually get their money.
Yeah. All right. So that's the contingency plan you're saying. That's the plan B.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people we're talking about. I think we're looking at about 26% of the total of SASSA beneficiaries, and that's 2.8 million people.
Yes.
I mean, that's going to be a lot of work to do in one day. And I mean, a lot of people wait for that first day of the month to get that money, because so much is hanging on that, and yet, you know, this might be pushed over not on the first. They might only get a lift a bit later.
Leanne, the system that is being used in payments at pay points is different from the people that are getting their money on the first.
Yeah.
Usually the pay points are staggered over some few other days, starting from the 1st up to the 10th.
Okay.
And then you would find that then the cash paymaster services would go to all the pay points, paying them. Usually not paying one pay point as well per day, paying quite a number of pay points, because you find that there are 100 people here, 200 there, and 300 there.
Yeah.
But as SASSA, what we need to do then immediately, we need to get those people to have their PINs as soon as we get the judgment. And once they have the PINs, then they will need then to be transported to the places where they can get their money. Yeah. Not forgetting that there are some outlets, like most of your Pick and Pays, where they do have that biometric. So though the other people would still be able to go to those places, but they will be inconvenienced because they'll have then to move from their usual pay point, which is usually in 5-kilometer radius from where they are staying, to a far place.
Well, it is. And I mean, as you keep mentioning, this is a very vulnerable section of society. When we're talking the elderly, we're talking about disabled people. So for them to move too far or to get to these places is a huge inconvenience. Let's talk about contingency plans that I suppose could have or should have been in place already. I mean, we've known about this. This deadline didn't sort of crop up. It's been something that's been in place for a while.
I must say that we've worked very hard, and we have had a contingency plan since the beginning. Firstly, as SASSA, we knew that we were negotiating with the post office, which is SAPO, and we were going to work with them eventually. But what we did from the first time, we went back to the Reserve Bank and we opened our own PMG account. And then after that, we've been doing the test of the people that were using commercial bank accounts, that are using commercial bank accounts. And from last month, all the people that are getting their grants through their own commercial bank accounts are paid through by SASSA from our PMG account with the Reserve Bank, which is one contingency that we made already, because we were preparing ourselves to take over from CPS. And we've done a lot of insourcing as well. I think it was not really explained in the court. For instance, all the funeral covers that are being taken by our beneficiaries are being paid by SASSA Direct from the 1st of April, because we have made sure that that part of the work that has been done by CPS is going back to SASSA.
But if we look at what the Constitutional Court says, and this is something that we need to take into account, the Chief Justice questioned SASSA as to why you only applied for this extension in February, when I suppose you were well aware before that you were not going to meet this deadline. Why only in February?
Leanne, I must say that when we had it in December, when we did write to the court in December as SASSA to actually explain that, I don't know if they might have missed that part, but we were still planning to see what else can we insource before we even go to the Constitutional Court to say this is the part that we are not going to make. Especially we wanted to have a service provider that we would say this is the plan that it's going to happen, and this is the takeover, the phasing in and the phasing out process. This is how it's going to take over. Because even the period that we're requesting the court for, it's only for phasing out of CPS, phasing in of the new service provider, and giving SAPO enough time for the card issuance, which is a very cumbersome process that they have to undertake.
But the card issue, and this is very important because, I mean, the card is a very big deal. This card, the card that they currently have, is still valid until the end of September, is that correct?
31st of December.
So it's actually for the end of the year.
End of the
still
year.
Valid.
Yes.
And then, obviously, but through the time up until then, they need to get new cards in order to get their money.
Yes.
Okay, so until the end of the year, you can still use your card. But finally, sorry, I'm stealing a bit of time, but I know people need this information.
Yes.
If the Constitutional Court does not allow CPS to continue giving the services, I don't think a poor person who is dependent on this grant actually cares who or how they get the money, as long as they get this money.
They will get their money.
Are you assuring South
I'm
Africans?
assuring everyone out there that their money will be in their account, and as SASSA will make sure that if they are far from where the ATMs are, we will take them there.
All right, we have to leave it there. Pearl, thank you for talking to us here on the program.
Thank you very
Pearl
much.
Bengu is the acting CEO of SASSA, talking to us about that deadline. Remember, the switchover happens on the 1st of April, and that's where, of course, CPS's contract ends. They no longer are responsible for these payouts. It now goes to the post office, and there's that extension that SASSA is hoping that CPS can continue paying these out, especially the cash payments that are needed. All right, let us take a break.